All right, going live. Why sit here talking in chat for 7 minutes? Might as well just go live, because we're all here anyway. 1 sec, gotta reload the YouTubes. Mute that. All right. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Are we all excited for Mark Means Day? I'm excited. Sort of. The hearing is scheduled to begin in a little over half an hour. So hopefully we'll get to see that. All right, yesterday there was a Zoom ID and password put out for access to the hearing, but last night that was disabled. I think they put that out by accident. They didn't expect everyone on the planet to try to log in. So I do have permission straight from Nate Eaton at East Idaho News personally to restream their broadcast of any court proceedings in this case. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to not pester the court and try to get into their Zoom meeting. I'm just going to bring you Nate's live stream of the thing, and then we'll go from there because it's a little easier that way too. So that's what we're doing. And if anyone wants to come for me, I have written permission from Nate Eaton to cover the court cases. So there you go. Sort of. Hello. Are you okay, Cherie? I hope everything's okay. Emily, it's so good to see you. I'm so glad you're here. Jess, I hope you're doing good. I'm getting ready to do my Harry Potter palette order. It's all your fault. Good morning, Karen. Hi, Gary. Manuela, always nice to see you. Lainey, Sophie. Joining from Hong Kong. Wow. Nice to see you, ZHK. My goodness. All right. So we have about half an hour to chit chat before the hearing starts. So why don't we go over what's going to happen in today's hearing? Because it's kind of an interesting thing. Normally, there's all kinds of stuff that happens pre-trial behind the scenes. Lawyers file motions. The other side files a motion to quash. They go back and forth. They argue about all this stuff through filings in the court. Generally, that happens one motion per filing. But Mark Means filed 3 motions in his latest filing, which is why we're having the hearing today. The main thing we're going to have to deal with in today's hearing is the request for bond reduction. Now, we've already been through this with Mark Means once. And remember, we had that live over on Denise's channel. And we sat there for 3 hours listening to this monkey whine and whine and whine about the bond reduction. Oh, I really don't want to go through that again. So, thank you, SG Matthews. Thank you for the super chat. Look at that thumbs up sticker. Very cool. So I'm hoping, because Mark Means has already been through this with Judge Mallard about bond reduction, he's not going to take the same tack as he did last time. He's not going to get up there and come up with all these crazy conspiracy things that he was babbling about. And the judge is pretty much going to shut that down and be like, listen, give me your point in 2 sentences or less. Go. Let's hope. Let's also hope that he has learned to stand up when addressing the judge, because she had to admonish him several times for that, and that was just embarrassing. So, Mr. Means, please, I hope you got your stuff together. So let's talk about the motions. The first thing he filed was the right to reservation of affirmative defenses. We talked about that in the live last night, but just in case you missed that, an affirmative defense is usually something like mental illness, like the decreased mental capacity, or self-defense. Self-defense is an affirmative defense. What's another good example? Oh, if they have an alibi, right? So something like that can prove affirmatively that their client did not commit this crime. So he put forth a bunch of affirmative defenses, but they're kind of wishy-washy to me. He's calling into question jurisdiction. Now, there are 2 forms of jurisdiction with the court. They can have personal jurisdiction over the client and jurisdiction over the content of the charges. So the first thing he's alleging is that the court did not have jurisdiction over these charges against Lori. Now, these charges, these are the 3 from the amended criminal complaint, so it's not the Fremont County charges. But I don't see where that argument holds any water at all. He also says that they don't have jurisdiction over Lori herself, but I don't agree with that either because the crime did happen here in Idaho. So, yeah, maybe he's just, throwing things around to see if anything sticks to the wall. We'll see. Birdman, nope, they did not have court. The hearing starts in about 30 minutes. So the first of his motion was asserting the right to affirmative defenses and the right to, he expressly reserved the right to give additional affirmative defenses in the future. And that's a really important thing. If he doesn't do that now, he'll lose the ability to proffer them later. So that was a smart legal thing, as much as you can say, smart in this case. But so that was that. He also has the motion for the bond reduction because her charges now, the 2 felonies from the Madison County set were dropped. Now we just have the 3 misdemeanors left. He's saying that, well, her bond should be dropped too because now they're just misdemeanors. He's got a point, right? Whether we like it or not, that is a point. And they're going to argue that before the judge. But I have a sneaky feeling the judge is not going to want Lori out on the streets. I really don't think so. So is the bond going to get lowered? Probably. There's a very good chance. Does that mean anything? Not at all. Not at all. Doesn't mean a darn thing. So don't worry about that because she still has the 2 felony charges in Fremont County. She still has $1 million bond on those. So, even if the judge completely wipes out any bond requirement, she's not going to get out of jail. So not too worried about that. The other thing was he filed a motion to reserve the right to ask for a change of venue in the future. He's not actually asking for that right now. He's just saying, hey, we might want to do this in the future. And it could be because he's worried that in that county she won't get a fair trial. They can't find a jury. Possibly, but I think it's more because he wants to have these charges moved over to Fremont County so it's all in one place. That would make sense. It could be because he does live pretty far away from Lori, but generally that's not a consideration of the court. So I would guess that he just wants everything in Fremont County. That's quite possible. But we're going to hear about those arguments today, which should be interesting. Oh, you know what? I'm wearing my big headphones and I don't need them on. Oh, goodness. That helps. Oh, I am dealing with a massive, massive sinus headache. And there's so much pain. But having my headphones on just makes that 10 times worse. So I can take those off. At least I'll be comfortable. That's also why I'm not on camera. My eyes are all swollen and puffy and my head hurts and just yuck. I do not want to wake up and do hair and makeup. I'm like, nope, not doing it. Besides, we're going to be watching the hearing anyway. You don't need to look at me. So that's fine. Oh, my hello was wholehearted. My sword was about whether I'm excited. Oh, yeah, I get that. Yeah, I'm not too excited about Mark Means. Really not. I think Mark Means, see, I would have said before I read this filing that he's in way over his head and has no clue what he's doing. But his filing was actually pretty smart. Maybe not super smart, but he's got the basics of this going so far. So, all right, the conflict of interest issue is a big issue, and the court is going to address it. They will be hearing arguments about that. However, all of that is sealed. Right, so, and hold on one second, let me mute this. Sorry, 1 second. I forgot to say please hold. No, my husband forgot his cell phone on his desk, and it keeps going off and ringing and stuff, so I want to get it and turn it off. Could you grab the cell phone over there and please turn it off?
Oh, are you live?
Yes, I am live. The cell phone is making lots of noise, so turn that thing off. All right, so yeah, the conflict of interest, that's what we're talking about. There was a motion filed with the court, and the court did grant it that anything regarding the conflict of interest issue, documents or hearings, anything like that is going to be sealed. Now, that made me curious because the sealing seem to have been granted in the interest of making sure Lori preserves her right to a fair trial. So something in that whole issue is probably kind of big, which makes me really want to hear it even more, So we're just going to have to wait and see. I think the only thing we're going to know about the conflict of interest issue is when Lori shows up to court with a different lawyer. So I'd kind of hope that Rob Wood is successful in proving that Mark Means has a conflict of interest and is ineligible to represent Lori, because I think if Lori goes forward through a criminal process with Mark Means as her attorney, she may have grounds for an appeal later based on ineffective assistance of counsel. So, yeah, the court is stealing the good stuff. Absolutely. So it's quite possible that Mark Means has some information that he got from Chad when he represented Chad, because he said himself that he did represent Chad, regardless of him lying to the judge. But he may have got information from Chad that he could use to defend Lori, but that would sink Chad's defense. So, I mean, you can't do that. You can't do that. You can't represent two people going in opposite directions. And even though he's no longer representing Chad, he may have received information during the time that he was that would, cloud his interest in the case. So we will see what happens with that. I wonder how she's paying Mark Means. Surprised her. I am too, Liz. It could be he's doing it pro bono. You know what I mean? It could be something like that. Maybe they have some deal worked out. Maybe she did have some cash. Maybe Chad was paying for it. We don't know. So I'm sure that might be brought up in the conflict of interest hearings, but we don't get to hear those. Just not fair. And yes, John Pryor and Mark Means sort of share an office, although it's not quite what it seems. Many lawyers have office addresses in various locations around different states and things. It doesn't mean that they show up and have coffee in the morning and donuts. It doesn't mean they actually work side by side together. They could just be using that as a business place of reference for mail and whatever. But is it likely that Means and Pryor know each other and are close? Absolutely. I'm sure they're talking to each other and all that kind of stuff. So, there's that. There is that. Maybe she's paying him nothing and he's just a nerd who's obsessed with her. It's quite possible. Brooke, that's how she is. She collects people, and it's possible that she has collected him. All right, you'll hear my mouse clicking because I'm checking for as soon as they put up the live stream, so I can make sure we get that and get the screen sharing going. Starts at 10:30 Mountain Time. Yes. All right. So we have about 25 minutes till the hearing. Hopefully it'll get going on time. What's going on with my sinus? I just have a really bad sinus headache. That's all. It happens every once in a while. But it'll be okay. And no, it's definitely not COVID. 24 minutes away. If they combine the venue and charges in Fremont County, will Lori be moved to the same jail? No, she will not. The women are kept at the jail in Madison County. So even if her charges are only in Fremont, she'll still be at the same jail she's at now. So no moving for her. The fire is making it. Robin, you have a fire? Is it a wildfire or something? Ouch, that doesn't sound fun. Please stay safe. Man. Let's do another check. I'm going to be constantly refreshing now until we get the hearing, because I get panicky about missing the first minute. So I would keep checking on everything. Judge Mallard also has a YouTube page similar to Judge Eden's, so she may stream it there. But East Idaho News will have it, and we will bring that to you as soon as it happens. There's a fire. It's moving away from us now. 0% contained, though. Oh, Robin, that's scary. Yikes. I'm glad it's moving away from you. Good morning, Betty. How are you doing? Hi, SG Matthews. When Means represented Chad hadn't yet had any official charges. That could absolutely be why he said no when Judge Edens asked him. Because even though he may have been retained by Chad and his office was technically representing him, there hadn't yet been any criminal matters for him to actually deal with. So, there's that. However, that's a technicality. So I think if you take somebody on board and agree to represent them, then you represent them, whether you've been in court about it or not. So Angel has a sandwich ready in case Means goes on. Yep. Definitely. We're going to need snacks. We're going to need drinks. We're going to need everything to get through this. I've got my Diet Coke. I'm ready to go. Hello from Scotland. Nice. Hello, Maria. Hi, Betty. He does babble a lot. He does babble. Now, the whole thing in the last bond reduction hearing is he seemed to be saying that because his phone calls with Lori were recorded by the jail system, because of the COVID thing, they couldn't meet in person, so they had to use the jail system to communicate, that violated her rights, and therefore she shouldn't have a bond. I don't know how he got from point A to point B, but he went on and on about that. Like, it was too much, but the judge didn't buy it. MJD Bella says, Means also said that Lori was unable to comply with the order to produce the kids. That is correct. He put that forth in his list of affirmative defenses, that their defense to the court, the contempt of court charge, when she didn't produce the children, was that she had an inability to comply with that. Now, on one hand, on the surface, it could seem like, well, of course she couldn't comply. She was all the way in Hawaii or whatever. But technically, she was unable to comply with that because the children were already deceased. What the heck kind of defense is that? You can't charge me with contempt of court for not producing the children because I couldn't produce the children because they were already deceased. So there, court. That to me does not sound like a good defense, but whatever. I'm not an attorney. What do I know? But yeah, the inability to comply. So yeah, I'm a little curious about his list of affirmative defenses. I don't think any of them really hold water. So we'll have to see what the court does with that. He does have the right to assert these defenses, and he has to do them early. If they're not pled early in a case like this, then he will lose the ability to assert them later. So he had to do it now. It's kind of like a now or never thing. Can she not afford a good attorney? No, Linda, I don't think she can. I don't think she has any actual money. I know there's money tied up with the children, but clearly she is not eligible for those funds at this time. So I don't think she had enough money to buy like a nice high-priced attorney. Plus, I don't see anyone like Jose Baez riding into the rescue, So she's probably going to be there. Who the heck is going to bail her out if it gets lowered? Nobody, I don't think. And remember, even if the charges today that we're talking about get lowered, the Madison County charges, she still has the other charges in Fremont County with the $1 million bond. So it almost doesn't matter if the judge wipes out the bond in Madison County. She still can't get out of jail because she still has the $1 million bond from Fremont County. So will the court address Mr. Lori Vallow, Daybell, or another one? Yeah, Mark Means had some typos and grammatical errors in his filing, and one of which was he referred to Lori as Mr. Lori Vallow. And interestingly, here's another legal thing. Everything in a legal document is significant. Every punctuation mark, everything like that. And so when you look at when he put her name, certainly as Mr. Lori Vallow, but he put Daybell in parentheses. So to me, that's saying they acknowledge her legal surname is not Daybell, but that's what she prefers to go by. Is it possible that her and Chad are not married? Yes. It's possible they're not legally married, so, that would be interesting. That would be interesting to find out for sure one way or another. Nobody has produced a marriage certificate, so who knows? Sorry, I had to cough. So yeah, it's quite possible they are not legally married. That's one thing that I want the answer to that. Good morning, Stormy. I'm sorry if I didn't say hi to you earlier. How are you doing? Messaged you about wanting to know if Lori had a. Oh, yeah, that's right, you did. Yep, Mr. Lori. Yeah, 17 minutes. Let me do another check on all the websites. Get our hearing ready to go. It's not up yet. Nate is tweeting. They're definitely going to be starting it. Nothing on the judge's YouTube page yet. Let's see, check Facebook. Oh, okay. Well, here's a story. Remember in the daily case video I did the other day, I brought you the story of Shayla Thomas, the missing mom from Montana. She has been found safe in Texas. That's good news. She has been technically missing for 2 weeks, even though they assert that she went of her own free will. So we'll look at that later. See what's going on there. But no hearing is up yet, so I will keep checking. So good. I'm glad Shayla Thomas is okay. Hopefully they can sort that out and she get reunited with her son. Sandra asks, where's all the support from their doomsday followers? They don't have any anymore, really. Everyone who was supporting them and shouting from the rooftops that the kids were safe and they were innocent now suddenly says they were deceived by the great adversary and it wasn't their fault. So, yeah, all of their followers ran for the hills. Good morning, Penny Sue. How are you doing? I hope you're doing good over there. Hello from Scunthorpe, Lincolnshire, England. Got my drink here for the long haul. Hello, Valerie. How are you doing? I'm not sure where Lincolnshire is. My husband is from the Lake District in England. I don't know if that's close. You would think I would know, but I don't. This case is so frustrating when you look at all the events that led up to this and how long it took. Yes, absolutely. It is very frustrating, especially when you look at the history of the case, the big picture, like Charles, starting with Joseph Ryan's death and Charles' death. And this is a much bigger case than just what we're seeing today. So, good morning, Amy Gibbs with the S, not related to Melanie Gibb without the S. You get sinus headaches too? Yeah, they stink. They really stink. So, and Angela Shaw from Cumbernauld, Scotland. Hi, welcome to the stream. I'm glad you're here. Crazy that those close to Lori mentioned her odd behavior, killing vampires afraid for themselves, yet they did nothing. Yep, Lindsay, that's something that I've talked about quite a bit because that makes me a little crazy. A little crazy. Because I think every single one of the deaths that we're dealing with in this case could have been prevented if somebody had spoken up loudly enough, but they didn't. All right, do another check of the websites. The hearing should be starting in 14 minutes. There's nothing live yet, but we are watching all of it. Okay, nothing yet. All right, I'll keep my eyes on that. Anyway, my mom was from Scotland and she used to rave about the beauty of the Lake District. Yeah, my husband, having moved here to Texas from the Lake District, still hasn't gotten over it. Texas is nothing like the Lake District. It's flat here, it's dry, it's not real pretty, the area I'm in, and he's used to the lush rolling hills and lakes and all of that, and he misses it quite a lot. Tell him if we win the lottery, well, I'll move back there someday. So maybe we should buy a lottery ticket to make that happen. You never know. I'm doing another check. All the websites. Oh, come on. I like it when they start the streams a little bit early, just because that gives us a minute to kind of get ready for it and make sure everything's working. But it looks like they will start the stream right when it starts. So we just got to hang in there a few more minutes. So, Mark Means can ramble on and yet not really say much. He fidgets. Lori owns nothing, no real property for collateral. I'm curious about the marriage license being filed as well. Yeah, Lori really doesn't. I mean, she's rented all the places she's lived, right? She did apparently get a lot of money each month for the children. Where is that money? Where did it go? What's happening with that? Will there be fraud charges for that? Quite possibly, so I would like to see fraud charges for that too. Hello, Nico. Nico, who's a pretty bird? Gulf Coast Girl has a beautiful parrot, and if he's listening to me talk, then we'll say hi to him. Hi, Nico. Pretty bird. I would love a parrot. I've always wanted to have a parrot or a cockatoo or something, but I have 4 cats, so that's not going to happen. My cats are idiots, and they would eat it for lunch, no doubt. So, yeah, she even rents her portal potty. Yes, she does. Derbyshire, south of the Lake District. We have rolling hills and very few millionaires around here. One of my dreams, speaking of England and the Lake District, I'm sure a lot of you from the UK are familiar with the show. Now I can't remember what it's called. My favorite show from Britain of all times. Vicar of Dibley. Vicar of Dibley. I tend to think of myself much like her. Dawn French is like my spirit animal. But that's where I want to live. I want to live in a town like Dibley. Thatched roof cottages, small, very rural. I would love to live there. So, and we've looked at some properties, and the few that we found have been several $1 million for a small thatched roof cottage. And I'm like, what? That's not okay. So, yeah, I don't think that'll happen, but you never know. You never know. That would be my dream, to live somewhere there. Then again, part of me says, well, we should live in Knightsbridge because, postcode envy. So, oh, yes, Father Ted, Sonny McKenna. Father Ted is a staple in this house. Absolutely. Do another check of the websites. Let's find this hearing. I wish Nate could just email me a link so I'd stop looking for it. That'd be great. If you're listening, Nate, can you drop me an email link, please? So I can stop refreshing everything. Nothing yet. Anywhere. Check the tweet deck. Nothing yet. I will keep checking. It's going to start in 9 minutes. Of course, these things never actually start quite on time, so, Yeah, I should email Nate. Listen, you said I could stream it, so give me a link. Come on. Any news on Brandon's custody case? Nothing yet. The last thing, they did have a hearing on July 1st, but apparently that was an evidentiary hearing, and there was no testimony given or anything like that. I don't know when the next hearing will be, but Justin Lum of Fox 10 News has been covering that as, he is totally on top of that. So as soon as there is information, then we will know. All right. Let me recheck. East Idaho knows it's got to be starting any second now. So. Nothing yet. Oh, and they're going to leaf blower now? Really? Great. All right, I apologize for that. There's nothing I can do about the leaf blowers outside. I will mute myself during the hearing, so you do not have to. Okay, we've got a link. Here we go. Let it load. Close all my extra things. Pre-trial conference is set to begin at 10:30. The hearing, la 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 la. Okay, but where's the live stream? It says East Idaho News will have a complete story following the hearing. No, I want to see the hearing. Live, Lori Vallow. It's not live. Nate, what are you doing to me? I am watching. I'm waiting for this video. It says live, but it's not live yet. Nothing on the judge's site. Oh, come on. I need this hearing. I don't have permission to stream KTVB's stream, so I don't want to do that. So Nate did say he'll be live, so I think he may just be going live once it starts. Check Discord. I don't see anything in Discord. Oh, wait, now I do. All right, there's KTVB. All right, I cannot. All right, they're not live yet. They just have the placeholder, but I cannot stream that. So, nope, that's KTVB News. I'm not streaming from their news YouTube. It will either be on the judge's YouTube channel when I will stream from there, or East Idaho News is carrying it live, and I have written permission to share it from East Idaho News. So, as soon as it's live, it'll be live. KTVB is just showing a placeholder right now because it hasn't started yet. So it's okay. We got this. We got this. Today's hearing is based on the 3 motions that were filed by Mark Means: bond reduction, affirmative defenses assertion, reserving the right for what's it called? Reserving the right to request a change of venue in the future at some point. So that's what's going on there. So it's basically we're going to listen to Mark Means whining about everything under the sun, and the judge will be like, no, go away. It will be held through the court via Zoom. So I don't know who's going to be there and who won't be. I don't know if the family's going to be there or anything like that. I'm just going to keep refreshing until as soon as Nate goes live, I'll bring it to you live. He's got the link up. You just don't have the video yet. This is so much fun. I am looking at the KTVB stream. It's not live yet. They just have their placeholder up still. So it has not started. We're not going to miss anything. If I can click fast enough, we won't miss anything. 2020 has got to be the craziest year ever. Jessica, you are not kidding. You are not kidding. And, you know, I do joke about sometimes where, you know, the world's going to end on July 22nd thing. And with everything that's happened this year, this is the year, if I was going to believe something like that, I would probably believe it. Because there is some crazy stuff happening, for sure. All right, I'm sorry for all the mouse clicking noises, but I don't want to miss a second of it. So I'm just going to keep clicking and clicking and refreshing until we get it. Happy Friday to you too, Drowsy Doll. The one who always brings me Diet Coke. Which I have quite a lot of this morning. Come on. Nate, show me the hearing. You don't hear the mouse clicking? Okay, good. Good. You heard the sip go down, though. Sorry. Oh. Yeah, the microphone that I use is really good. It when I first turn it on, you can hear the fans. Here, let me show you. If I mute it mic for a second, and then I turn it back on, you can hear all the background noise, all the fans going, because it's hot here in Texas. But after a minute or two, it sort of filters that out. Nate is live now. I'm refreshing. I don't see him live now. Where is he live now? Is he live on Facebook? Because it says East Idaho News. He told me to go to the website. All right, Nate is live. Here we go. East Idaho News. He's talking. Once the hearing starts, I will stream it from there. and I will put links to all of his stuff in the description. I'd prefer to stream it from the website because Facebook, I have memory issues with Facebook, so we will see. All right, let's do a start any minute. It's on one hand, it's kind of exciting because I want to see what's going to happen, but on the other hand, it's like, do I really want to listen to Mark Means go on and on and on about this again? Nope, once was enough in my lifetime. That is for sure. So it looks like East Idaho News is going to be doing this live on Facebook and not their website. Oh, I don't like streaming from Facebook because it's so slow. All right, but that's what we'll do. We got this. I'm going to turn all my extra websites off so you don't have to deal with that. Try to save some bandwidth. Close the tweet deck. All right. We're good. Thunder boom are happening. Oh, nice. Nice. I do like a good thunderstorm. Absolutely. All right. Nate is still talking. I don't want to actually stream Nate talking because I don't know if I have permission to do that. He said I could stream the court conferences, but his broadcast, that's a little different. But as soon as it switches to the court, I will show it on screen. So, not to worry. Hey, good morning, Grace Naomi. How are you doing? Hi, Maureen. Paula Harris. Hi there. Catch up. Paramjit Dari. We'll need counseling after hearing Mr. Mean. Yes, we will. I agree. Oh, goodness. Yeah, Nate Eaton is a really good guy. I've gotten to know him a little bit, and I reached out to him about the hearings coming up, the preliminary hearings, because the preliminary hearings are going to happen in person, right? So they won't be hosted via Zoom, which means they won't be on Judge Eden's YouTube page, which made me question if I had the ability to stream them or not, because technically I would have to be in the courtroom, approved as a journalist to cover it and stream it live. And that's not something that I can do, really. So I reached out to Nate. I'm like, hey, I don't really know how this works, all this copyright stuff and this and that. Is there anything I can do to have permission to stream your coverage of these hearings? And he said yes. So that was pretty cool. He is a dude. He is definitely a dude. So I am a big fan of Nate Eaton. And a fan enough to not live stream his stuff right now because I don't think that's fair. But I'm still watching it. He's still talking. The hearing has not started yet. I'm also keeping an eye on Judge Mallard's YouTube page because streaming it from there would just be easier and there'd be less of a lag. So if she puts it there, then I'll stream it from there. But if not, we will stream it from the YouTube Live. So, what do y'all think about the possibility of the bond reduction? Do you think the judge is going to grant the bond reduction? And are you worried about it if she does? Yes, Gina Marie, Paul is at work right now, so he is missing this, unfortunately. Maybe he'll be able to sneak in and say hi in chat. Sometimes he's able to do that. Paul, if you're listening, say hi. We see you, Paul. Yep, Rob and I agree. Even if the judge does reduce the bond even to nothing, she's still not getting out. So, Nate Eaton is live on Facebook right now. And I will bring that to you the second it switches to coverage of the hearing. I'm still checking all the websites. The hearing has not started yet, so it's okay. You know how these things happen with courts and all the modern technology. It'll take them a little bit to get everything in order. Yep. Gulf Coast Girl, I agree. I think there will be a bond reduction simply because these new charges are well, not new charges, but these charges are misdemeanors and the other two are felonies. So it's possible, but that still doesn't mean anything. Oh, here we go. All right. Oh my God. All right. I'm gonna live stream from the judge's website. Give me 1 second. Share screen. Share audio. Application window. Chrome tab. State of Idaho versus Lori. All right, here we go.
Ms Daybell, Mr. Means are sitting at a table together. They are
I'm gonna
wearing
make
masks.
it big for you.
Mr. Means, can you describe
I'm gonna be quiet.
who else is in the courtroom with you?
I can, Your Honor. Obviously, myself and my client, Mrs. Daybell, and we have 2 deputies from the Madison County Sheriff's Department present as well.
Thank you. Mr. Wood, is anyone else there in the room with you that we can't see inside the frame?
No, Your Honor.
All right, then today is the date and time set for a pretrial conference. And the purpose of a pretrial conference is to set a jury trial date and other necessary dates. It's also to discuss matters we need to take up to make sure we have an orderly disposition of this case. Since the last hearing, Mr. Wood has dismissed the felony counts relative to this case here in Madison County, leaving the 3 misdemeanors at issue. Count 1, resisting and obstructing. Count 2, solicitation of Melanie Gibb to resist and obstruct. And count 3, contempt. Mr. Means has filed a not guilty plea to those charges, a demand for a jury trial, which means we need to set this for a jury trial, and a number of other motions that I will discuss here in a few minutes. So that is all that we are prepared to take up today. As I noted, Mr. Means filed a couple of other motions that may need to be scheduled, one for sure, the others I'm not quite so sure about. But the first thing that I want to go through today is setting the jury trial. Mr. Means, can you tell me how many days you think you will need for a jury trial?
Well, I'd be interested to hear how many days the prosecution thinks as well, but I think we would need to set this for approximately 4 to 5 days for these misdemeanors, just to make sure we're covering our bases. It could potentially be longer. I mean, obviously this case is a little different than most misdemeanor cases. And so there could be some other time issues as far as in preparation for the jury trial that might add a few more days to that number.
All right, Mr. Wood, tell me your view of how many days. And I realize there are other charges outstanding in Fremont County that you are also the prosecutor on. So if you could just let us know what your plans are in regards to this jury trial.
Your Honor, in terms of time, I agree with Mr. Means. Approximately 4 or 5 days would probably suffice. And so, yeah, 4 or 5 days, I think. We probably should just block off a week at some point to do it.
All right. Okay. And Mr. Means, tell me how long you think you need to prepare, how long you'll need between now and the jury trial setting.
I think probably more than your traditional setting. We have some discovery that's going to come over in the next few days. I understand it's another extensive amount as far as size goes, as gigabytes and information and whatnot. This case obviously is a little different than most. I would be reluctant to say anything within the next 6 months, really. There's a lot of conversations that prosecution and I need to have regarding this. My client is, if I can inform the court, is going to waive her right to a speedy trial on this matter, if that helps with the scheduling as well.
Mr. Wood, your view of how long you need to prepare?
Your Honor, on this case, the state doesn't need that much more time to prepare. However, as to what Mr. Means said, there are conversations between the defense and the state in regards to venue, possible consolidation of cases. And so in and of itself, no, we don't need a lot of time to prepare, but I think what Mr. Means has said is accurate in terms of the conversations we're going to be having in terms of when we actually try this and if it gets consolidated with other charges.
All right. Well, 6 months out takes us into January. Is that what you're thinking, Mr. Wood?
That's fine with the state, Your Honor.
Mr. Means?
It's fine with me, Your Honor.
And I do not have in my courtroom a calendar that extends into January. Madam Clerk, can you let us know what the third and fourth Mondays in January are?
Yes, I will.
If I can, Your Honor, according to my calendar, January 18th of this next year is going to be a federal holiday. So
Okay.
we might be looking at the fourth Monday in January if we want to.
And what day is that, Mr. Means?
Martin Luther King Day.
Right. Yeah, thank you for calling that to my attention, but the next Monday, what's the next Monday?
I don't see any conflicting holiday on the 25th.
Okay.
So it'd be the 25th to the 29th.
Okay. Mr. Wood, how does that work for you?
That's fine for the state, Your Honor.
So we'll set the jury trial for January 25th through 29th. Plan on starting at 9 a.m. And right now it's set for Madison County. I understand that Mr. Means has reserved his right to request a change of venue. The next thing that I want to take up is scheduling Mr. Means' motion for a bond reduction. Have the two of you discussed that at all, Mr. Wood?
Yes, and the state is fine if Mr. Means wants to argue that today. We're prepared to argue that. Obviously, at the discretion of the court, but we're fine to argue that if he wants to today.
All right, Mr. Means, is that what you'd like to do, is talk about it today?
If that's possible, Your Honor, I don't think a lot has changed since the last two bond hearings we've had. So I think it's pretty short and concise as far as our argument goes on why it should be reduced.
All right. Well, the court was not prepared to take that up today. Let me ask Madam Clerk to put us all in the waiting room for just a minute. Let me take a brief recess. I will get my notes from the last hearing so that we can not have to start from scratch. So we'll be in recess for just 5 minutes, Madam Clerk.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right, looks like we are having a short recess because the judge said she wanted to review her notes about the previous bond reduction argument so they don't have to start from scratch. So she could be reading through that for a minute. So we'll have a recess so we can talk. I wanted to address one of the comments. Can you all hear me? Did I unmute my microphone? Say something if you can hear me. Hello? Watching comments. Because I don't like talking when nobody can hear me, because that's just silly. All right, Stella, yes, you hear me. Okay, great. MCC, you're talking about the 2 felony desertion charges that were dropped. Let me go over that while we have this break. The 2 charges that were, remember, there are 2 cases against Lori right now. One's in Fremont County, one is in Madison County. Today we're watching the Madison County charges. Now, there were 5 charges originally brought against Lori in Madison County back when she was arrested in Hawaii. 2 of those charges, the felony desertion and abandonment charges, were dropped. Okay? They had to be dropped because Rob Wood cannot go into court and argue to get a conviction against Lori for abandoning or deserting the children that were not abandoned or deserted. They were killed. They were murdered. That is completely different. So those charges had to be dropped. They are no longer applicable, okay, to this case. So that's why they were dropped. However, the 2 charges that were brought against her in Fremont County, felony conspiracy charges, those are felonies. There are 2 of them, and she has $1 million bond for that case. This is totally separate from what we're seeing today. So not to worry. She does still have 2 felony charges against her. She does still have the $1 million bond in Fremont County. This case over here is different. All right, so here we're only dealing with the 3 misdemeanor charges. They could not possibly go forward to a jury trial to try and prove to a jury that Lori abandoned the children, because she did not abandon the children. The children were murdered. So that's why they were dropped. You know, it's a technicality, but it doesn't mean that she's going to get away on lesser charges. That's not what it means, because that it just didn't happen. Okay, you can't charge somebody for robbing a bank because they walked by a bank one day. You know, she didn't abandon or desert the children. They were murdered. So did she murder them? Well, that's an issue that we're going to be taking up as this trial goes forward. So that's what's going on there. Why are there no murder charges yet? Because they're still investigating. They're still working on that. And there's a lot going on behind the scenes that we can't see. And it may take them a while, because remember, for a prosecutor to bring charges like felony murder or aggravated murder or something like that, that could potentially even have a capital punishment kind of death penalty issue, they have to make sure that their argument and their charges are airtight. They can't just waltz into court and say, well, we think she killed him, so murder. They have to prove it. And they have to be able to prove it to a jury to secure a conviction. So they're not going to bring those charges too fast, and they're not going to bring them lightly. They're going to make sure they have an airtight case before bringing the charges. So I'm pretty sure we are going to see that. At the very least, I expect accessory to murder charges. Now, if they're charged as accessories, because if they say pin it on Alex, if they believe Alex was the one who actually killed the children, these 2 Chad and Lori could still be found as accessories to murder, which would still carry the same penalty. Right? So they could still get life in prison. They could still get the death penalty, possibly, if that happens, even if they're charged as accessories. So, there's no need to panic yet. I think Rob Wood is very, very smart. I have a lot of faith in Rob Wood, and I'm pretty sure he is going to nail them to the wall. So we just have to be patient, let him happen. Oh, Grace Naomi, thank you so much. Says, bless you, keeping it all straight for us. Thank you very much. Trisha Schultz, thank you. Look at that sticker. I love that. I love those stickers. That's so much fun. Thank you, Trisha and Naomi. I appreciate that very, very much. So I'm just going to keep refreshing the judge's page to make sure I didn't actually miss anything. But no, it looks like we're fine. We're just on hold. We are just on hold. I'm just going to reopen the page to make sure. I'm paranoid that YouTube will freeze or something and, we'll be missing it. But I'll keep refreshing to make sure that we are not missing anything. Oh, my goodness. All right, so that's what's happening. We're now going to talk about why is the judge different? Crazy noodles, because there are 2 different cases. Judge Mallard, who we're seeing today, she is in charge of the charges in the Madison County case. And Judge Edens, he is in charge of the the charges in the Fremont County case. The reason that some are in Fremont County is because Chad's home, where they found the remains, is in Fremont County. So we have two cases going on. And that's what Rob Wood was talking about earlier when he said possible consolidation of cases and charges. I think Rob Wood was named special prosecutor, which means that he can handle both the cases in both different counties. All right. So, and he said something about consolidation of charges. So it's possible he wants to put it all together in one case in one county. So we stop with the back and forth. We don't have the different judges, different courtrooms, all that kind of stuff. So I'm pretty sure that's going to happen at some point. But why is she waiving her right to a speedy trial? Because if she exerts her right to a speedy trial, that means charges have to be brought within like 14 days. Right? That's very fast. Certainly her attorney needs time to go over all the discovery and go through it and plan her defense. 14 days is just too fast. In most big cases, they will waive their right to a speedy trial just because there's too much information to go through to get, because they have to prepare the defense, they have to prepare the prosecution, yada, yada. And certainly Mark Means, I don't think he's able to handle a case of this magnitude within a 14-day. Here's the documents. Okay, ready, go. You know. So, yeah, I think Mark Means especially may need a little extra time to get things together. You know, not to disparage his law knowledge because he knows more than I do. Give him that. So there you go. I really do like Judge Edens. I like Judge Edens a lot. I really like him. Hopefully, Judge Mallard will come back and be like, all right, I read the bond reduction arguments from before, and I say, yeah, moving on. Now, Mark Means did say he was going to try and be concise, which I found humorous. I found that a little humorous because, oh, I think we're back. Are we back? All right, we're back. I'm going to mute again. Here we go.
I think we have everyone back in place. Can you hear me okay, Mr. Means?
We can, Your Honor. Can you hear us okay?
Yes, Mr. Means, since this is your motion, go ahead with your argument.
Okay, thank you, Your Honor. Real short, Your Honor, as set forth in our motion, the change in circumstances here really is regarding the dismissal of the 2 felony counts that were in the previous complaint. We're left with, as the court mentioned earlier, 3 misdemeanors, an obstruction, a solicitation, and a contempt charge, which carries with it a maximum, according to my calculations, 2 years and possible $2,500 fine. The only thing I would add, in addition to the things that have been argued in the previous 2 bond hearings, is my client has been a model inmate. These charges are not of a violent nature. There is no previous criminal record regarding my client in any other jurisdiction that we're aware of. Her access to funds is extremely limited. I think the court has issued an order previously outlining that if my client were bailed out or bonded out, that there were certain restrictions in place that we're fine with keeping those restrictions. We think ultimately that the $1 million bond isn't reflective of the current charges, that we'd ask that the court reduce it to $100,000.
Mr. Wood?
Thank you, Your Honor. We do acknowledge that at this time, the defendant faces misdemeanor charges in Madison County. We also acknowledge that she's also being held on a $1 million bail in Fremont County. We would point out that each of these misdemeanors were, in the state's view, an overt act of in furtherance of a felony to conceal the location of the defendant's minor children, Tylee Ryan and J.J. Vallow, who are deceased. In terms of the factors in Rule 46, I'll just focus on what we see has changed from the last time we argued this in front of Judge Edens and in front of yourself. And I think where it's really changed, well, one is her familial, any family contact she might have. Her only family contact is Chad Daybell, who is a co-defendant in the Fremont County case. And in our view, her only family contact now is someone with whom her legal interests are completely adverse. In terms of aggravating factors, I think that's where the real change has occurred. There are many aggravating factors. I'd point out that, Your Honor, the last time we had a discussion of bail in this case, we were arguing about jail phone calls while the defendant's children were dead. And the state finds that very troubling. And so I just point out, Your Honor, that when the defendant obstructed the investigation into the safety and welfare of J.J. Vallow, she was hiding the location of her dead child. When she attempted to get Melanie Gibb to lie to the police on her behalf, she was attempting to get Miss Gibb to lie about the location of her dead child. And when she refused to comply with a lawful order to produce her children, she did so in an effort to conceal the deaths of her minor children, all while telling family and friends that they were fine. And so, Your Honor, those aggravating factors that bear on the likelihood of conviction are troubling, they're strong, and quite frankly, they also bear on the defendant's character, which the court is allowed to consider in a bail reduction hearing. Acknowledging these charges are misdemeanors, if the court is so inclined to lower bail, we'd ask that it be no lower than $250,000, and we would ask that all the current restrictions on bail and her release remain in place.
All right, thank you. Anything in response, Mr. Means?
Just briefly, Your Honor, obviously the court is well aware that the client is innocent until proven otherwise. I think some of the argument that has been put forward to justify a $250,000 bail is based on, though out of respect for the argument, speculation that requires a certain amount of jumping from point to point in order to justify. Again, we just ask that the court consider the dismissal of the felony charges, which were previously the bulk of the potential incarceration time. Here we're looking at 3 misdemeanors, and I think $100,000 is more than appropriate in this setting.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
There are 2 procedural matters in this case that are inescapable. One is that these are misdemeanors with a total maximum sentence of 2 years if they're run consecutive to each other and if Ms. Daybell is convicted. The second procedural matter that impacts my decision is that there is another pending case in Fremont County in case number CR 22-20-838, a conspiracy case. Again, there's conspiracy case against Ms. Daybell. And that case has a $1 million bond. So regardless of what I do with bond here today, there's still another case with a $1 million bond that is outstanding. I'll note that Ms. Daybell was taken into custody in February of 2020. So she's served at least 5 months by now, which if she were convicted would go as credit to her sentence. I've previously noted that the factors that I consider are those stated in Idaho Code Section 19-2904 and Idaho Criminal Rule 46C. we really are not going to have any trouble, I don't think, ensuring the appearance of the defendant, no matter what bond I set, considering the bond in the Fremont County case. Bond is present. She does have the right to bond, and I will set bail today and will lower it. A third prong is ensuring the protection of victims and witnesses, and the fourth is ensuring public safety. I cannot overlook Idaho Criminal Rule 46C, subsection 6, which is the nature of the current charge, which I've already taken into account. They're misdemeanors with a relatively low maximum sentence. But also that prong requires me to take into account any mitigating or aggravating factors that may bear on the likelihood of conviction and the possible penalty. Of course, in our system of justice, Ms. Daybell is considered innocent until proven guilty, but every court in Idaho, in consideration of what bond should be set, is allowed to consider the likelihood of conviction and any mitigating or aggravating factors that may bear on that likelihood. I think it's inescapable that these misdemeanor charges are relating to the whereabouts of minor children who have now been found deceased. All of the other factors are really no different than where they were when we had this last hearing. I am going to reduce bond based on my consideration of all those factors. I'm going to set bond at $50,000 on each count for a total of $150,000 in bond. If Ms. Daybell does post bond, I'm adding an additional condition to her release that she have no contact whatsoever with her alleged co-conspirators in the Fremont County case number CR 22-20-838. Do you have any questions or clarifications about my decision, Mr. Means?
I do not, Your Honor.
Mr. Wood?
No, thank you, Your Honor.
All right, the court will prepare the amended order regarding conditions. Mr. Wood, would you prepare the order regarding the reduction in bond?
Yes.
All right, I'll anticipate seeing that in the next couple of days. Anything else we need to take up at this pretrial conference, Mr. Means?
I don't think so.
Mr. Wood, anything else we need to take up?
No, thank you, Your Honor.
I'll remind both attorneys to pay close attention to the pretrial order I will issue within the next day or two. It will have the required deadlines, and you will be expected to either meet those deadlines or to ask for leave to depart from those deadlines. We'll be in recess.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you.
Okay, guys, calm down. My goodness. Chat, did you not hear anything I've said in any of the previous videos I have been making? Calm down, okay? Listen, let me explain what you just saw. Her bond was reduced to $150,000 for the charges in Madison County only. Okay, she's still being held on $1 million bond on the 2 felony conspiracy charges in Fremont County. Okay, calm down. It's okay. I told you this was going to happen. I told you this last night. I told you this morning before it started. It's nothing to panic about. Jess says this is what we were expecting. Absolutely. I told you this was going to happen. All right. Don't panic. All right. Justice is not been, thrown out the window. Evil has not prevailed. No. All right. This is how our legal system works. And we should be glad it does. Because if any of us were ever charged with a crime, we would rely on these same laws to take care of ourselves. Okay. She's not going out of jail. She's not walking out the door. Okay. She has $1 million bond in Fremont County. She has a $150,000 bond here in Madison County. She will have to meet both bonds if she wants to get out. Is that going to happen? It's not very likely. She doesn't have that kind of money. She doesn't have the assets as collateral. How is that going to happen? She would have to find a bail bondsman who would trust that she wouldn't run off. The chances of that are pretty low. Okay, so let's take a deep breath. Okay, Lori's not going anywhere. We did expect this to happen. All right. Like Kelly says, different judges, different charges, different bond. There are 2 cases against Lori. Don't forget that. 2 totally different cases. Now, Rob Wood did say that he was considering consolidating all the charges into one case. That would be a very good thing, a very smart move to have it done that way. Okay, so yeah, it's okay. It's really okay. Now, one thing that I noticed in the hearing that I thought was pretty exciting was when Rob Wood threw that shade at Mark Means. Oh my goodness, I didn't see that coming. And, he said, last time we had the bond reduction hearing, we were arguing about phone calls in a jail while her children were dead. It was like, whoa, did you just say that? Holy cannoli. That was a moment. That was pretty, yeah, that was glorious. Rob Wood was just like, woo, So, yeah, that was pretty amazing. Pretty amazing. And yes, Zelda, sure, if she had a rich family member that had, over $1 million, they could bond her out. Yes, they could. That's how our justice system works. If you can meet the criteria for bond set by the court, you get to get out on bond. But also that's why they talked extensively in the other bond hearings about the restrictions that would be placed on her. She'll have an ankle monitor. She has to remain within certain counties. She can't have contact with anyone on the witness list, including Chad. So, there are things in place to make sure that it's okay. All right. So let's not freak out. It's going to be okay. Like Alistair said, if she had the resources, she would be out already. Absolutely. Remember, when she was first arrested, her bond was $5 million. They lowered it to $1 million, but she hasn't been able to bond out. She's been in jail since February. No one's gotten her out yet. So the chances of them getting her out now, probably not going to happen. And don't forget, they're still waiting on the final autopsy results, the rest of the forensic testing on the children. When those come back, do you think we're not going to see additional charges? Do you really think so? I don't. I am sure they're going to have a whole list of new charges when they get all of the forensics back. And then, that's it. That's it. Her bond is only going to go up from here. So let's not panic. It's going to be okay. As far as the $1 million bond, what would have to happen is she'd have to come up with at least 10% in cash, but then she would also have to be able to provide collateral or sureties for the other 900,000, and now for the other $1 million, because it's 1.1 mil. So she doesn't have that. She doesn't own any property. She doesn't own anything. I don't even think she owns her car. So she doesn't have that kind of money. Does her family? I don't think so. From what I've read about Janice Cox, they don't have that kind of money. They may have some money, more than average, but I don't think they have a cool mill laying around. So it's okay. It's okay. We knew that was going to happen. It's not that big of a deal. So you can't say that they may not have anything actually to tie her to actual murders. They do, S.G. Matthews. That's what the conspiracy charge is. All right. When you're dealing with conspiracies and you're dealing with accessory, which I expect to see coming soon, these are her children. Okay. JJ disappeared from right under her nose, technically. Remember that night? That night of the 22nd, they were all there. She had Alex take JJ to Alex's apartment. And then sometime between when Alex brought JJ back later that night and the next morning, he was murdered. So right there, literally under her nose, whether she herself did it or Alex did it or what, charging it and proving it to the, yes, but you got to give them time. They need time to get all the forensics back. And remember how they pinged Alex's cell. They know minute by minute where Alex was over that entire month. We saw it in the affidavit. You think they don't have that on Lori's phone? You think they don't have that for Chad's phone? You think they don't know where these people were? Of course they do. Of course they do. Have faith, okay? Have faith in the justice system. She's not going to get away with this. All right? And if she's charged as an accessory to murder, then she gets the same penalty as if it were first-degree murder. So, But S.G. Matthews, she can't say that because we know from David Warwick and Melanie Gibbs' statements that Alex brought JJ back that night. Alex brought JJ home that night, and they said it looked like he was asleep in Alex's arms. Okay, so even if Alex took JJ back to his apartment so they could have some quiet to do their podcasting, and he did something to Alex there, right? Or if Alex did something to JJ there at Alex's apartment, then brought back his body, sorry to say that, as if he were asleep. And so Alex was solely responsible for the physical murder. There are plenty of other circumstantial things that point to her knowledge of that. She called JJ a zombie. She knows what happens to zombies. That was her thing. Look what happened to Charles. So that circumstantial evidence is evidence. Okay. And she said she gave JJ back to Alex. Well, yes, she did. We have no corroborating witness for that. The only thing that might be able to have pointed to that would have been if Alex's cell phone came back to Lori's home in the morning and then back to his apartment. That's not in the affidavit. Did they leave that out intentionally because they're not talking about that yet? Quite possibly, but the bottom line is she called JJ a zombie, and zombies had to die in order to free their spirits from limbo. That's a circumstantial argument that the state can make that would give her the accessory charge, which would make her just as responsible for the murder as Alex if he did it himself. Right? And then there's the whole thing with Tylee. Tylee was, remember, Alex came to Lori's apartment in the middle of the night, like 2:00 in the morning. Right? That was the night that Tylee disappeared. And the next day, Tylee was buried at Chad's house. So there's no way that two children could have just blinked out of existence under her nose from her own apartment and ended up buried in her supposedly husband's backyard and her not be party to that. Okay, so it's not going to happen. She's not getting away with this. She's not. There's no way on this planet, and I will say this with absolute surety, there's no way on this planet that Lori and Chad are just going to get 5 or 10 years in jail for a little conspiracy. There's no way. Absolutely no way. Also, we know that there's been a new lead detective appointed in Charles Vallow's murder, and they are looking at Lori for that, And now, then we got to look at Tammy. They announced in April that they are looking at Chad and Lori for conspiracy to commit murder, and attempted murder against Tammy Daybell, too. None of those cases have been charged yet, but eventually they all will be. And then we could talk about Joseph Ryan. What happened to Joseph? And then even Alex. For all, of Alex's horrible evilness, did somebody murder Alex, too? Was Zulema involved in that? Did Lori tell Zulema to go kill Alex because he knew too much? We don't know, but they are looking at all of this. There are 6 deaths that they're dealing with. 6 of them. Not just Tylee and JJ, even though those, in my mind, are the most heinous. But there are 6 deaths. You can't say with definitive positivism that they... Oh, yeah, I can. I'm absolutely saying that. Absolutely. there's not a chance in heck, because it's not just this case. Charles, Tammy, Joseph, maybe even Alex. There's so much more coming down the road. What we're seeing is the very proverbial tip of the iceberg. The very tip of the iceberg. And it's so much bigger under the surface. It is so much bigger. So I'm not even remotely concerned that the bond was lowered, because I don't think she has enough to get out anyway. She's still got the $1 million bond in Fremont County. Even if some rich benefactor did come and bond her out, she's still under the bond restrictions. She's not going to be able to hop on a plane. You know, she can't just jump on a plane and go to Hawaii. That's not going to happen. Okay. So in this case, I absolutely trust the wheels of justice. I trust Rob Wood to get this job done. I trust the evidence. Just from the evidence that we know so far, I cannot even possibly see an arguable defense here. I really can't. You know, and how many trials have we all covered together? Not all of us, but a lot of you and I have covered trials together. You know, we've gone through the entire start to finish legal process of cases like this. And in some cases, they actually have an arguable defense. In this case, I don't see one. I don't see anything that they could try to say that gets them off, even if they pin it totally on Alex. Well, Chad was there with Alex in Chad's yard burying the bodies, so Chad's on the hook for it. They were Lori's kids. She called them zombies. She told Melanie her kids were zombies and had to die to release their spirits from limbo. She told Melanie that she was waiting for Charles to die, and she was mad when he didn't. You know what I mean? So they don't have an arguable defense as far as you can see. I trust that the jury will absolutely do the right thing. And I trust that Rob Wood is more than a match for these two yahoos. You know, I really do. So I would like to see everything consolidated, like he said, get everything into Fremont County, everything under Judge Edens, you know, all under one umbrella of a giant case. And that's exactly why he was promoted, or why he was named as a special prosecutor, so he could do that. The special prosecutor designation also gives Rob Wood the right to bring charges for any other case that comes up as a result of his investigation into these cases. So that means anything that comes up about Charles or Tammy or Alex or Joseph, anything that comes up, Rob Wood, as a special prosecutor, can bring those charges. All right, so he's got all of it under his thumb. He's in charge of all of this. And I think that was a perfect move. And I think that's what's going to be the downfall. I would not expect anything less than murder charges in Tammy's death, Charles' death, Tylee's, JJ's, and possibly even at least conspiracy to commit murder with Alex. So, but it's going to take them a long time to get all this stuff done. They've been working on Tammy's case since they exhumed her in December. All right, and there are no charges in that yet. They did make some announcements in April, but it takes a long time to get all these charges ready. It really does. So, you know, it's going to take them a while to get everything in a row, but I think they will. I think they will. Give me 1 second. Where's my button? 1 second. So yeah, so we're not going to panic about the bond hearing or the bond lower. Oh, there's not enough Diet Coke in this world to deal with Mark Means. I tell you what. Oh. Yeah, I'm sure things are going to get a lot more interesting with this case. You know, yes, Renee, the attempted murder on Brandon. I forgot about that as well. Brandon is bringing that up in his custody case, which I thought was interesting. And they are looking at Melanie Pulowski as a person of interest in that. But you have to look at the evidence in that situation. Brandon Boudreaux was shot at by somebody who was driving Charles Vallow's Jeep that Charles owned before he died. Who would be driving that? Well, it was given to Tylee after Charles's death. But Tylee wasn't around when that happened. So Who was driving it? Looks like Alex was driving it. So why would Alex go off and randomly try to shoot Brandon Boudreaux? What's the connection there? Melanie Pulowski. Who is Melanie? Lori Vallow's niece. It all comes back to Lori Vallow. Every single one of these cases comes back to Lori Vallow. So, yeah, 6 months is a long time to prepare for 3 misdemeanors. Yeah, I think the 6 months is kind of just a random placeholder because there are more charges coming. They also have the case in Fremont County. I think as things progress, that court date is not actually going to happen. It's probably going to get moved to, who knows, sometime next summer, because they're going to have a lot more to deal with. And if Rob Wood gets it all consolidated into one case in one county, it's going to be one heck of a trial. Can you imagine? And even if they had the trial for the 3 misdemeanors tomorrow, right? Even if they had that, and even if for some reason, some crazy cosmic reason, she was found not guilty of those 3 misdemeanors, she'd still be in jail. She still has the conspiracy charges going. They're still investigating the deaths of the children. That's not done yet. So, the stuff in Madison County really is kind of irrelevant. It really is. So nothing to get too worked up about. Did the state drop the charges or the defense request those drops? I think the state dropped them, the 2 felony abandonment and desertion charges, because technically she did not abandon or desert the children. So they can't, in order to charge someone with something, you have to be able to go to court and prove it. So how do you go to court and prove that Lori abandoned the children when we know at that time the children were actually deceased? That's not abandonment. That's something very different. So I think the state dropped those charges. And so, of course, we expected the bond to be reduced because there's just 3 misdemeanors. So can they include Charles Vallow's death? Yes, they can, Gail. That's why Rob was made special prosecutor. If they investigate Charles Vallow's death and they find that the whole self-defense story was not true, and they can find that Alex and Lori were responsible for murder in Charles Vallow's death, then he can charge that part and parcel of this whole case. That's what special prosecutor does. It gives him the ability to prosecute any case that arises as a result of the investigation into the deaths of JJ and Tylee. And certainly when you're looking at JJ and Tylee's death, you look at the big picture and all of these other people. This is a big case. There are 6 deaths. They all tie directly back to Lori. That's a problem. She is a problem. Let's see. There are more out there just masquerading under different. Yeah, there are. Mel G and David stayed in the hotel for the 4. They were, I believe, from their own statements, that they were in Lori's apartment. If they were in a hotel, I'd like to know that. But from everything we've seen so far, David and Melanie stayed in Lori's apartment while they were there visiting with her for those few days. Chad will throw Zulema under the train. Possibly. It's quite possibly. But remember, Zulema came into the picture as a result of being friends with Chad and Lori. And I think the whole marriage to Alex was a business type deal, So, yeah, I'm sure we're going to hear a lot about Zulema going forward, too. I hope Tammy's murder is a go after time. I do, too. Kathy, I really, really hope that Tammy's case is going to be a big part of this. Maureen, I believe from what Melanie and David themselves said that they stayed at Lori's apartment while she was there. I never heard either of them say anything about a hotel. So, excuse me. Rob Wood has just the right amount of complete and utter distaste for Lori. It's subtle, but it's unmistakable. Oh, yeah. Absolutely, he does. Yep, Zulema was married at least 6 times that we know of. Who knows how many more? Alex has been dead since December, so she probably has married 4 or 5 more people since then. You never know. But let's talk about Tammy for a second, because this is significant. We all wonder what happened to Tammy. I don't think anyone here thinks that Tammy died of natural causes. I don't believe that for a hot minute. Now, when Tammy died and she was buried, and they started looking into her death a little bit more. Remember that in Idaho, autopsies are not standard, right? Chad would have had to request an autopsy, and he declined to request an autopsy for Tammy. All right. And then when suspicions arose after the children were discovered missing, that's when they got suspicious about Tammy's death. So they exhumed her, and they have been doing autopsy and medical forensic testing on her since. Okay. Now, on December 11th or 12th, she was exhumed. The very next day, Alex Cox was found dead. Right? So that's a thing. But 2 weeks later, 2 or 3 weeks later, in January of 2020, they had enough information from the preliminary autopsy of Tammy Daybell to get a search warrant for Chad's home. Right? So they found something very quickly when they started looking at Tammy and the forensics to convince a judge that they needed to search Chad's home. So they did that. They went there and they searched the home. That was sealed. We don't know what they were looking for. We don't know what they found, but they did take some stuff away. Okay. And then the next thing we heard about Tammy was in April, when law enforcement stated that they were looking at Chad and Lori in regards to Tammy's death, and they were looking at them for murder, attempted murder, and conspiracy to commit murder. All right, so law enforcement has been working on that since December, and they're still working on it. So I really think that they are just preparing straight up murder charges for Tammy against these two. I do. That's what it sounds like. We're going to have to wait and see. But there is movement in Tammy's case. They're not releasing that information. And certainly now, after the discovery of JJ and Tylee, can you imagine the stack of papers on Rob Wood's desk? Can you imagine all the different aspects of this case? You know, they have to look at all 6 deaths and see, are they related? Are they related to Lori? Could they have a hand in it? Yada, yada, yada. There's so much to get through. It's going to take them a long time. It really is. So, you know, I'm putting a lot of faith in Rob Wood that this is not going to get swept under the carpet. They're not going to get off scot-free for all of these murders. I just don't think it's happening. This is the case of Rob Wood's lifetime. Absolutely, French Blue. Can you imagine being a state prosecutor and getting a case like this? This is an incredible case. And there's so many more people involved than just Lori and Chad. They've got to be looking at all of their associates. Melanie Pulowski, Melanie Gibb, David Warwick, Zulema Pastenes. There are so many people that they have to look at and sort through and do research on and get background on. The amount of time is going to be unbelievable, how many hours they're sinking into this case. You know, and all the different agencies involved. The FBI is involved, Rexburg Police, Gilbert Police, Chandler Police, you know, Fremont County Sheriff. There are so many different agencies and people just investigating all of the connections with these crazy people. So that's why I say with certainty, they're never walking out of jail. So is that me dreaming? Yeah, possibly, but it's dreaming with a pretty solid. I don't know what to say. From everything I've seen following true crime, I don't see how these two have a prayer in hell of getting out of jail. I really don't. I wouldn't be surprised if Rob Wood has to go on sabbatical. Yep, Rhonda, this might be his last case. He might finish this and be like, all right, I am done. That is it. You know, my work here is done and I need a break. So, yeah. Hi, Emily. Welcome back. I hope your doctor doesn't keep you waiting too long. Is Chad going to try and get bail reduced? I don't think so, because Chad didn't have any change in his charges. The reason that her bail was reduced for this was because 2 of the charges were dropped because they're no longer applicable to her case. Chad doesn't have that same situation, so I don't think he's going to try. I mean, he might try, but, you know, whatever. He's allowed to try. And cause death and account for the pink foam coming out of her mouth. It's not found on normal tox screens. Yeah, there's a lot to be suspicious about with Tammy's death and with Alex's death and with Joseph's death. So we'll see what the autopsy comes back with. You never know. Yes, Rob Wood gets paid by the state of Idaho. He is a state prosecuting attorney and now the special prosecutor. So Casey Anthony is proof that people can beat charges. Tina, you're absolutely right. That I was quite surprised by that result. That one took me by surprise. This one I don't think is the same because it's not simply one child. There are 2 children and 4 other adults that ended up dead in their orbit. That's a game changer, I think, in this situation, considering that we have public statements and eventually testimony in a court of law from their friends saying that they wanted Charles to die, they wanted Tammy to die, they thought all these people were zombies, and we know what they believed had to happen to a zombie. So all of that, yes, that's circumstantial, but in a court of law, circumstantial evidence is evidence. It is still evidence. So, it's a little different than the Casey Anthony case, but I don't see. And plus, we don't have Jose Baez defending Lori. Mark Means is not Jose Baez. So, he's just not. Can you imagine someone trying to make a documentary? Yeah, Miss Wilassi, I can. And I think there will be many of them because it would have to be like an 8-hour documentary to cover everything in this case. It's crazy. Very, very crazy. Did Mark Means did learn from the last time. He obviously tried not. Yeah, Mark Means did say, and I'm going to be concise. And I'm like, oh, really? But he did. He was actually concise. Because of the Zoom hearing, he wasn't, physically before the judge. So I think that's why he stayed sitting down. But that's okay. That's all right. Yeah, I think he learned a lesson. It was good that the judge took a brief recess to go and read through all of his previous statements about bond reduction to refamiliarize herself with that. That helped, since she didn't have to hear all that again. So, there you go. Penny Sue, it would have to be a very long miniseries. Yep. Because you could do a 2-hour documentary on Joseph Ryan, and then one on Charles, and then one on every other person that was a victim to these 2. So it could be one heck of a series. And I think before the end, we're going to have all that information. We really will. It's going to take time. We're going to have to be patient. So, so if murder charges come soon, Means will be removed as not qualified, not a criminal level. I don't know. I don't know what the law in Idaho is for types of attorneys. I don't think he can be removed as not qualified unless it's a death penalty case. That could be. I'm not sure on that. I will ask my legal friends and see if we can get an answer to that. Although, remember, in the background, the hearings will be going on to have him removed because of conflict of interest. So that could happen regardless of charges. We'll have to see. Stephen King couldn't write this book. Yeah, no kidding. Stephen King actually did have a tweet about this case, about the pet cemetery thing. He was like, ugh, that's not cool. So, yeah, follow Stephen King on Twitter. He's pretty cool. But, so, Idaho does have the death penalty. Yes, they do. Will that happen in this case? I have no idea. No idea. It depends on what comes back from the forensics. It depends on what comes back from Tammy's charges. Depends what they find in the investigation into Charles's death. They certainly could, because as a special prosecutor, Rob can look at the entire body of evidence and say, there are 6 deaths. We believe at least, say, 4 of them, or at least 3 of them, or whatever, are directly a result of Lori and Chad's actions. So that right there, death penalty. There's a lot that's going to unfold. And we have a very long way to go with this case. Can you still get a jury guilty result even though lab results come back negative? Can you still get a guilty due to other facts? Yes. The jury findings have more to do with the actual charges than the forensics, because jury can choose to accept the forensic testimony or not. That's kind of up to them. It's all based on the technicality of the charges. So, trying to create difficulty in getting all together by purposely creating multiple jurisdictions. Possibly. If he stays, she is in even more trouble. Stephen King is the best writer. But would Means' ineptness give her defense? Kathy, that's something that a lot of people are worried about, and rightfully so. If Mark Means does not get dismissed on the conflict of interest issue, then does that open the door for Lori to get a retrial for ineffective assistance of counsel? It possibly does. So that's why when these legal documents come out, you really want to look at them line by line, and say, is he making a mistake here? Is he doing the right thing? Is he leaving the door open for mistrial or something like that? So I'm concerned that he may not be the right lawyer, simply because she could later on argue, well, he wasn't an experienced criminal defense attorney, so I didn't get a fair trial. That possibility exists, which is why I think Rob Wood is going after the conflict of interest, because he knows getting Mark Means off the case is a very smart idea. She can get a public defender, she can get a death penalty qualified public defender, and then that removes that possibility off the table. The conference, Lindsay, is over. We've already had the conference. You can rewind the live stream and you can see it. It was pretty short, much shorter than the other one, thank goodness. But now we're just talking about what we heard and talking about some specifics in the case. So, yep, Mary Ann, that's a really good point. She can't really appeal, at least that aspect of it. The judge kind of had to lower her bond. I know everyone's really upset about that, right? But you can't really put $1 million bond on 3 misdemeanor charges. Okay, fairness counts when it comes to the law. We may not like it all the time, but it is in all of our best interest to have the laws set up that way. So her bond kind of had to be lowered, right? And I talked about that before the hearing and even last night in the live. It's not a surprise that happened. But imagine if the judge had left the bond at $1 million, Lori might have a right to appeal that, because that's not fair. So, everything is happening for a reason, and it's all going to be all right. The judge had no choice with lowering her bond. Absolutely, Sakura girl. She really didn't. How will they find an impartial jury? Goodness knows. Goodness knows. Kathy says, I hope Mr. Wood gets him disqualified when his court trial set for the felony charge. The trial date for the felony in Fremont County has not been set yet. The preliminary hearing for that is August 3rd. No. Lori's preliminary hearing is August 10th and 11th. That's, I believe, when that will come up. Chad's preliminary hearing is August 3rd and 4th. So, Eamon, do you think she will have to come back to Arizona for murder charges for Charles? Possibly, quite possibly, because that was not in Idaho. So if they think they have enough evidence to charge her with that, that will probably be an Arizona case. Rob Wood would not have jurisdiction in another state unless they made it a federal case and had a federal prosecutor. I don't know how that works. That's legal stuff way over my head. But if they find that if they want to bring charges against Charles' murder, that would probably have to happen in Arizona. Yep. Would she be extradited there? Who knows? Who knows? It may get to the point where she has so many convictions against her just in Idaho from those cases, they might not bother, So we'll have to wait and see. Mark Means is nowhere near qualified to handle her case. So would it be so bad if he remained on the case? Rhonda, on one hand, it wouldn't be. I get what you're saying. But on the other hand, we don't want to leave the door open for an appeal or a mistrial or to give her an ineffective assistance of counsel, argument. We don't want her to have that. So I would rather her have a qualified attorney, because that reduces the risk of an appeal. So we'll just have to wait and see. If they can't find an impartial jury. So see, that can't really technically happen, because what will happen when they start to seat the jury and they bring people in to see if they qualify to be on the jury, each side only has so many strikes, right? Like the defense can say, no, I don't like juror 1, 4, and 9. Nope, get rid of them. They get 3 strikes, and they can pick 3 jurors that they don't like and have them not on the case. The defense can do the same thing. But eventually they all run out of those strikes. And then whoever's left is on the jury. Okay, so, the whole process of voir dire is very interesting, how that all happens. But technically, they can't not have a jury. And even if everyone comes up and says, well, I think they're guilty. Well, that's not good. But you run out of chances, and eventually you're going to have to seat somebody, so who knows? The change of venue may happen. It may go to Fremont County because that's where the other charges are if they want to consolidate. But he may ask for a change of venue to who knows where else in Idaho, where maybe people haven't heard about this case. Is that possible? I don't know. I have no idea. Zulema is in Phoenix. I think she'll run to South America. Who knows? Who knows what Zulema's up to? Hopefully she has been questioned, and hopefully they keep an eye on her so they know where she is, because I think we're going to hear more about her. They have to give reason why, though. Yeah, they do have to give reasons. Absolutely. Yep. Worst cult ever. Anyone can join, but only 144,000 get. Yeah, that's not really a good selling point, is it? Nope. Zulema has not talked publicly. Nope. I'm pretty sure she has been questioned. Oh, yeah. Pretty sure. And if not, then I'm sure she will be. But I can't imagine them getting this far in the investigation and not have talked to Zulema. So we will see what happens. But all right, that was the hearing. All right, and we're all going to go forth, and we're not going to be crazy. We're not going to start screaming, whatever. We know what happened. We know why the bond was lowered. We know it's okay. We know Lori's not walking, at least not today. We'll see what happens. But it's okay. Everything is all right. And we know that law enforcement is investigating this with everything they have. And it's not just local Rexburg police. There's other police departments from other areas. There's the sheriff's department. There's FBI. This is a big investigation. So we just have to take a deep breath, let law enforcement do their thing, and then we're going to get to see new charges, hopefully soon. I think everyone will feel a lot better once we see either accessory to murder or first degree murder, or aggravated murder. When we see charges like that, then we'll all feel a little bit safer about this. So, but they're going to come. They're going to come. We just have to kind of hold our breath and get through there. And remember, the point of all of this is to get justice for Joseph Ryan, Charles Vallow, JJ Vallow, Tylee Ryan, Tammy Daybell. And, Alex is in there too, but he's a separate case. So we'll just, whatever. Anyone, did you love Mr. Mean? Said Lori's a model image. Yeah, I saw that. And technically is right. She has no technical criminal history. She's may technically be a good inmate, but 6 people in her life that she was either married to, friends with, or a parent of are dead. So that doesn't make you a model anything except maybe a model serial killer. So yeah, but defense attorneys, they always play that card, and it's just, it's like, just stop it. Just stop it already. But so there you go. That was the hearing. It was very interesting. I want to give a special thanks out to Nate Eaton of East Idaho News. Even though I streamed it from the judge's YouTube page, I wanted to give a thank you to Nate Eaton for giving me permission to stream from East Idaho News as well. So thank you very much, Nate. I appreciate it. Links will be in the description. Please make sure you follow East Idaho News. Nate Eaton at Twitter is at Nate News Now. He's wonderful. He's on Facebook, all that good stuff. So follow Nate. Between Nate and Justin Lum, we have not missed a beat in this entire case, and they're keeping us well up to date. So massive appreciation for them. And they're staying over all the cases. They're watching Charles. They're watching Tammy's case. They're watching everything. So thank you to them. I appreciate them immensely. And thank you all for being here. It was great to have so many in chat. I'm glad there are so many people with their eyes on this case, because this is a huge case, and it's just going to get bigger and bigger and bigger. So if you're not in my Discord channel, I do have a Discord server. where I post everything that I find about this case. All the documents that I get, all that kind of stuff is posted in Discord. We have conversations going around the clock. So if you want to join us in Discord, there should be a link in the description below. Lots of conversations. And it's not just this case. We talk about anything that happens in the world, anything in your life. Discord is a great place to be. There's a wonderful community there. Everyone there is just fantastic. So if you want people to chat to about true crime or anything else that's going on, come on and join us in Discord. It's a lot of fun. So I am going to actually go get some food because I'm hungry now. But thank you for being here. I am certainly going to keep my eye on the news. If anything important happens, I will go live again. I don't expect anything like that, but I will have a video up later today about the new information in the Shayla Thomas case that I covered in a daily case video recently. She has been found. She is in Texas. She is okay. So that's all I know so far. I don't know much else about why she disappeared and what, but we'll find out. Do you have to sign up in Discord? Yeah, Maureen, let me get you a link to it. Where's my link? What you do when I drop you this link for Discord, you click this link and it will prompt you to download the app, right? Whether on your phone or computer. When you download it, right, you have to create an account. So make a username and set your password and all that good stuff. And then it should take you directly to my server. If it doesn't, just re-click that link and it will pop you right in. And there you go. If you need any help with Discord, it's actually very easy to learn. And all the mods there will do anything they can to help you figure it out. Really not hard. Linda, there you are. Hi, good morning. How are you? I hope you're doing good. Rhonda, thank you for being here. And Rhonda, don't let me forget what we talked about. Please remind me because I am scatterbrained and I will forget. So, all right, I'm out of here. Thank everyone for the super chats. I appreciate that more than I can articulate. Thank you. And I'll be back with you next time we have some news. Thanks, everyone.